The clock above the counter ticked past 10 p.m. when Emma Carter refilled the last coffee pot for the night shift. She'd already worked since early morning, first at the grocery store, then at Sonny's Diner, a small 24-hour place that smelled of burnt toast and memories. The crowd was thinning. Only a few truck drivers and late-night travelers sat scattered across the booths. Her eyes stung from exhaustion. She rubbed her wrist, the red mark from carrying too many trays, and took a deep breath. Just a few more hours, she whispered to herself. Mom's pills don't pay themselves. Her mother, Margaret, had been sick for months, and the bills never stopped coming. Emma had sold her old car, skipped meals, and taken every extra shift she could. Some nights, she barely slept 3 hours before heading to work again. Yet no matter how hard things got, she always smiled for customers. Because kindness, she believed, was the one thing poverty couldn't take away. That's when he walked in, a man in his late 40s, with a few streaks of gray in his hair and tired but kind eyes. His clothes were plain, a dark jacket, faded jeans, and work boots covered with dust. He didn't look rich or important, just another wanderer passing through. He sat in the corner booth by the window. Emma grabbed a menu, wiped her hands on her apron, and walked over. "Good evening, sir. Can I get you something to start?" she asked with her usual soft smile. He looked up, studying her face for a moment before answering. "Just coffee, please. Black." "Coming right up." Emma poured him a fresh cup and set it down carefully. "Long night?" she asked, trying to make small talk. He smiled faintly. "Something like that. You've been on your feet all day, haven't you?" She chuckled weakly. "Is it that obvious?" "Let's just say I've seen that kind of tired before," he said, glancing at her hands, rough and red from washing dishes. She didn't reply, just nodded and walked back to the counter. He watched her go, the way she hurried between tables, offering gentle words to customers, never losing patience even when they complained. There was something about her, a quiet strength wrapped in weariness. An hour passed. The diner grew emptier. The man, whose name was Daniel Reed, stayed in his booth, occasionally sipping his coffee, sometimes writing in a small notebook. At around 11:30, Emma's coworker, Lily, grabbed her purse and waved goodbye. "You sure you got the rest of the night, Em?" "Yeah," Emma said, forcing a grin. "I need the overtime." When Lily left, Emma was alone behind the counter. The hum of the refrigerator and the soft jazz on the radio filled the silence. Suddenly, her phone buzzed. A message from her landlord, rent due tomorrow. No delays this time. Her heart sank. She looked at the clock, barely any tips tonight. Maybe $30 at most. Not even close. Daniel noticed the way her shoulders slumped, how her smile disappeared for a split second before she forced it back on. He closed his notebook, stood up, and walked to the counter. "You okay?" he asked quietly. Emma blinked, caught off guard. "Oh, yes, I'm fine. Just tired. It's been a long week." "Seems like it's been more than a week," he said with a knowing look. She gave a small laugh. "You're not wrong. But it's fine. Everyone's got their battles, right?" Daniel nodded slowly. "That's true. Some people just hide them better than others." Before she could respond, the door opened and 2 men walked in, loud, drunk, and careless. They slid into a booth and started arguing over who would pay. Emma sighed softly and went over with her pad. Evening, what can I get you? Coffee. And maybe some fries, sweetheart, one of them slurred. But hurry up, we're starving. She nodded politely and turned to leave, but the man grabbed her wrist. Hey, you got a boyfriend? Emma froze, her heart skipping. Please let go, sir. Daniel stood up instantly. His voice was calm but firm. She said let go. The man sneered. Who's asking? Daniel's eyes hardened. Someone who doesn't like seeing people disrespected. Something in his tone made the men back down. Muttering curses, they finally released her wrist. Emma whispered, "Thank you," her voice shaking. "Don't mention it," Daniel said, his tone softening again. "You shouldn't have to deal with that." When the men left later without tipping, Emma sighed but didn't complain. She cleaned the table quietly. Daniel watched her again, the way she handled everything with grace. Before leaving, he took out his wallet and slipped something under his coffee cup. "Thank you for the coffee," he said gently. She smiled, too tired to notice anything unusual. "You're welcome, sir. Drive safe." When she finally went to clear the table, she froze. Under the cup was not just a tip, it was an envelope. Inside was a thick stack of bills, at least $2,000, and a handwritten note. For the woman who hasn't forgotten how to smile, even when life tries to break her. Consider this a small thank you for your kindness. Dear. Emma's knees went weak. She looked around the diner, but Daniel was gone. Outside, through the window, she saw him walking down the street, disappearing into the fog. Tears welled up in her eyes. Her hands trembled as she clutched the note. For a long moment, she couldn't move, she just stood there, whispering, "Who are you?" The next morning, she used part of the money to pay the rent and buy her mother's medicine. But what stayed with her wasn't just the money, it was the kindness behind it. Weeks later, the diner got a letter addressed to her. Inside was another note. "Emma, I once owned a chain of restaurants before selling them years ago. I came to your diner that night not as a customer, but to remember where I started. You reminded me what real service and kindness look like. I'm opening a new place in the city, would you consider managing it? You deserve a chance to rest, to dream again. Daniel Reed." Emma's heart stopped. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she read it again and again. That night, she looked at her reflection in the diner window, the same girl, same tired eyes, but something inside had changed. She smiled softly. For the first time in years, the future didn't feel so far away. Because sometimes, angels don't come with wings, they come with coffee cups, old jackets, and the quiet power to change a life.